The coroner. It's not my problem. Hang on. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There you are. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I muted everybody coming in because students coming in going, hey, you just start talking over whatever you're saying because they have a
Right.
tendency to do that. So I muted everybody. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
So what's up?
I'm surviving.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just so you know, I am recording this meeting. I'm recording this interview. So
I'll try not to say anything increment. Yeah, you know the word.
try not to say anything terrible,
I
terribly
haven't actually
inappropriate.
talked to anybody for like a month and a half.
Me
So.
neither. Well, I mean, I do this almost on a daily basis where I talk to
I,
myself.
I don't even do this.
Then I post it on the internet and the students watch it and either give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
It's just me sitting at home with my cats. So
That's right, Harriet. I have a couple of cats. They should probably make an appearance any time now. They usually have a habit of walking across or getting behind me, or sometimes every now and then you'll see a paw kind of make its way over because Max really likes me and he likes to hang out with me. Cleo's not so much, but whatever.
right on.
Anyway, you said you haven't done anything in a month and you've got something going on tomorrow. What's that?
Well, I'm buying and selling music gear, so that's how I've been trying to keep going.
I see.
Because I haven't worked in, what was it, March 4th, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
So everything got canceled after.
everything,
Yeah.
everything. So
What?
the best that I have right now is they're saying we might start shooting in June on the TV show that I was supposed to start shooting next week on.
Okay. Do you have an NDA on that, or can you tell us more about the show? Or
It's Making the Team.
it's called Making the Team.
Yeah, it's the Dallas Cheerleader Show.
Oh, okay. Is
Yeah,
that with Tom Post?
no.
No, something separate. Okay. Since we're talking about projects, I'll just jump right in and say, um, what projects are you working on? Which you just told me, but I mean, like, what projects have you worked on in the past, like that our students might have seen or not?
I mean, there's Upstream Color, so film. As far as TV shows, I've worked on Dallas, the TV show, the drama here in Dallas. For reality TV, I've done Storage Wars, Dallas Car Sharks, not the Fast and Loud, but they did an offshoot of that show, and I can't remember the name of it, but another one of those, reality shows here in Dallas.
Okay. Okay. So, in a bit, I want to talk about the differences between working on like television shows versus working on films. And I
Right.
know with films, there's the differentiation between independent films and studio films or whatever. But most of my students are probably going to be more familiar with independent films.
Right.
Well, familiar with working. Oh, look, I have somebody who has joined us. So, hold on a moment. That I need to turn off real quick. Let me do that. So, I did. I sent out, like I said, I sent out a thing saying, "Hey, hi Myrna, we see that you're with us. If you just want to hang out, if you do have any questions, you can use um, the chat feature, and just send me a question or whatever you want me to ask Chad." But yeah, I've got it right here. Okay, cool. Okay.
Sorry, my audio is not the greatest because Zoom doesn't understand my crazy audio system. So the only thing that it actually works on is like the default built-in mic. So
That's too bad. Well, this isn't the best either, but it is convenient. This little
it,
Logitech thing is.
yeah, it sounds all right. Probably better than I do right now.
No, you're okay. You sound okay. I know we were such sticklers for how people sound that at the beginning of this whole process, I would use my DSLR camera. I don't know, where is it? My DSLR camera with the Rode mic, the condenser mic, and I would put it literally right in front of the laptop screen so I could look at the camera, and it
Right.
would record me through here, and it would record it directly into my computer. It sounded pretty good. But it was a pain in the ass. Oops, sorry. It was a pain. They're already used to me talking like that anyway. So it was a pain. So I just decided to just go straight into the computer using either Zoom or Camtasia, which is a screen sharing software, which is actually pretty cool. Working anyway, back to you. So what have you been doing? I know you haven't been doing anything in the last month, but prior to that, say in the last year, what have you been working on?
Um, Actually, I'd worked on a lot of political ads. I was doing a lot of that in the fall. Other than that, it's a lot of corporate type stuff. CEO talking to the masses. Hey, had a great quarter. We made lots of money, and I get to buy a new Porsche next month. Kind of things.
Okay.
That's really what helps pay the bills between all the more fun stuff.
Okay. All right. So for something like that, what's your typical setup?
For the seat, like the corporate stuff,
Yeah.
very simple. Usually a boom and a lav, 2 channels, sometimes straight to camera. It's very low budget, very quick and dirty. But I mean, it's usually it's 5 minutes of a guy talking to a camera. So
Okay.
it's you don't really need a whole lot of really pristine audio, and it's stuff that's going out to in their email or something. So, um, but it pays
Okay.
bills.
All right. So how do you get contacted for these jobs?
I know a lot of independent small time producers that that's the type of stuff that they do. And so they call me. I know them and they know me, and my name gets passed around. We all know each other. It's all
Ah,
word of mouth. It's
so you
all,
would say it was a small world then?
yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Um,
And which just kind of beautifully segues into let's talk about the business of show business, shall we? Yeah. So so you talk about the different types of jobs that you've done. So you have a reputation. So the producers in the community are contacting you rather than you having to go hunt your jobs down because um, you do a good job. Which is actually
yeah,
one of the questions that I had is like, how do you know, because audio is invisible, how do you know if you've done a good job on on location for
they
your
call you
client?
back.
They call
They
you
call you back.
back.
Um, it's that simple. It really is that simple. Because the 9 times out of 10, they're not going to know what your audio is like on the day when you're doing it.
Mhm.
They're going to know how you were, how you dealt with the crew and with your talent or whatnot. But they're, as far as the audio itself, they don't know. They're just trusting you 99% of the time. They're just trusting you. So you better get it right.
Ah, okay. So let's talk about getting it right. Okay, so actually, that's we've talked about that all semester, actually, the whole how to actually get
Right.
decent dialogue and all that good stuff. So you mentioned something that was very important. You said they're going to know how you treat the talent, how you treat everybody else. Um, so attitude,
Attitude is
uh, etiquette, punctuality, all these things are extremely important.
when it comes to being specifically for a sound guy, it is all about how you interact with the people that you're working with and with your talent and the environment around you. Yes, the audio is important, but that comes later. They're going to find that out next week or when the post guy gets it. So let's like you said, you've already talked about that all semester long. But what gets me called back is the fact that I can deal with situations and I can deal with the people appropriately and efficiently.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of that, it's a small community. Those people know me, I know them. I have a history. I've been doing this for over a decade now. So, and some of these people I've worked with for that long. I started out when when they just had a DSLR and we were making $100, making crappy web videos, and now we're making real stuff. But it's the relationships and your attitude and all that, way more than the technical aspect when it comes to being a sound person, because at the end of the day, the sound part is really easy. it really is. It's, hey, your meter sound, does it sound good or not? It's, it's a simple yes or no question. 9 times out of 10. Sometimes there's like, yeah, maybe, but it's, that part's simple.
Hmm.
It really is about the attitude and how you deal with situations.
Okay. So, so being prepared when you show up, being prepared, you can, I mean, that incorporates a lot of, I mean, that's a broad statement, being prepared, but
Yeah.
if you ask the right questions ahead of time, they should be telling you what they need from you, right? Before you
Well,
walk in.
well, they should, but also you also have to understand, being a sound guy, you're the redheaded stepchild. So I mean, and I've posted about this on Facebook. It's like, that feeling when you're driving to the gig and you have no clue what you're doing in 30 minutes from now. You have
Oh
no idea.
no. And
That
that
happens.
happens.
That happens all the time, and it not just on small gigs. I mean, I've worked on very large, big scale productions where the sound guy is literally left in the dark. I was working on a pretty large production one time, and I had to fight to get a script. And it's like, I, I'm recording what these people are saying. I need to know what they're saying. How can I cue up who's talking not if you're not going to give me a script? Well, we can't give that out. It's like,
So how am I supposed to know?
right,
I guess I'll just watch. I'll watch the body language. I don't know. And you're not, and sometimes you're not even the boom operator. You're the sound mixer. Well, the boom op is separate and over there doing
right,
their thing, and you're over here. I mean,
right. How are they going to know who to point the mic at if they don't know who's going to talk?
exactly, exactly.
It's,
Myrna asked a question. Besides going to North Lake, did you take other sound classes? Where and which one?
um, no, I did not take any other classes. But I mean, I've been putting sound to tape for oh, 35 years now.
Because you're a
I
musician. You're a
Right.
musician,
I
right?
started out as a musician, so I started out with just a tape deck and a mixer from Radio Shack, recording my guitar when I was 12 years old.
Hmm.
And from that, I was a professional musician, so I worked in studios, and I got to see, you know, big, 2-inch tape machines working and stuff like that. I got to see that up close and personal, and got to work with it as well. So there was no school. It's just I just did it.
Right. And because you're a musician, you were already familiar with microphones and
Right,
mixers and that sort of thing. So it just
right.
kind of, once you started going to North Lake for video, um, ran into Andy Childs, or
Right,
maybe you already knew him. I'm not. I can't. I don't remember the
yeah.
story.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I went to Northlake was actually to figure out how to utilize my audio skills with video. I already knew the audio part, but when I started looking around trying to figure out, how can I do other work and make some money, because I wasn't making enough money doing music.
Hmm.
So
Common complaint,
yeah,
huh?
exactly. Well, it gets worse and worse as time goes on. But
Yeah.
um, so TV and film always needs sound. So I figured, well, I'll do that. And so I started trying to get these gigs, and I realized I had no clue what I was talking about. I knew the audio, but I was like, what camera? What are you talking about? Time code? And that's when I was started looking around, and I found Northlake, and figured out how to fit what I knew with what I needed to know. If that makes sense.
Hmm. And you never graduated. Tell us why.
I'm just too busy working.
Exactly.
That's
Sound is very important, right? So you're in high demand.
yeah. I've 4 or 5 times now I've tried to get a degree, and I still, in various different ways, and I just end up, before I finish, I start working and I just go with
Hmm.
it. And that's just the way it works.
Okay. So, I have like a set of things that I was like topics that we could talk about. Talk to me about dress code. While let's say you're going on location, is it always the same, or does it depend on what the job is, or what?
Uh, for me, it's always the same.
Okay.
This is something I would wear on set. It's dark. There's no printing. Um, it's simple. Um, yeah, it's like wearing stage clothes. If you've ever worked on a stage, you wear a dark shirt and dark pants. So if you have to hide in the shadows, you can hide in the shadows. Um,
Would you
I
ever wear
was
sandals or flip-flops?
no, no. Um, Good shoes are very important, very very important. I worked on a reality show, and one of our producers would show up to set in high heels all the time, and we're working in like auto shops, and she's walking around in high heels on like oily floors with. Don't do that. I own like a pair of work boots. I own steel toe boots because just I work in different environments. You never know, so you have to be prepared.
So
Um,
why dark? Why no printing?
Dark because you don't want to reflect light into the scene. Just like I was saying, if when you're working on stage, if you have to hide in the shadows, you hide in the shadows, and you
Hmm.
can't do that if you're wearing bright orange. And
True.
sometimes on set, you have to do the same. You have to hide in the shadows. No printing because a lot of times, especially on bigger productions these days, they want all this behind the scenes footage. So part of your paperwork that you get when you start up, and it gives they want your social security number and first name, contact. You're also signing an NDA usually and an image release form because they're going to use you on behind the scenes stuff. Probably not, but they're going to make you sign that. And they don't like to have to blur out logos. So, and 9 times out of 10 on a call sheet, it'll say on there like no logos because there's going to be a behind the scenes guy running around taking pictures.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So just dress appropriately, wear dark clothes, no printing, comfortable shoes. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I,
Uh,
comfortable is key. You know, um, and I see some weird like job postings. They talk about appropriate attire, and it's like if they're going to make me put on a tie, I'm not going to work the job because I got things to do.
okay.
And I've literally had that happen before. Now, depending on what the job is, granted, there has been times I've done that. Like I worked with Laura Bush one time. I'll tell you what, I dressed up a little bit better that day. But 9 times out of 10, unless I'm working with the president's wife, I'm going to be comfortable. So,
Okay.
and don't force your crew to wear a tie, put a button-up shirt, wear slacks. Come on, you're going to wear slacks and you're going to haul 500 pounds of gear up some stairs, and no.
Well, that's, obviously people who ask you to do stuff like that have never actually had to do production. So,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Punctuality. I mean, of course, from day one, I've harped on this so many times, but because you are a professional, I just thought I'd bring it up.
Don't be on time and never be late.
Be early.
um,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, it's true, right? You don't get called back if,
yeah. I mean, the very last thing you wanted to do is be late. Be early. Be as if you have to be there 2 hours early instead of 5 minutes late, be there 2 hours early. Because you never know what's going to happen. Um, but yeah, if that call time is 7 a.m., you should be ready to work at 7 a.m.
and by
Not
ready to work, you don't mean just showing up in the parking lot. You mean
right.
like your gear is set up.
Exactly.
Your files have been named.
As as ready as you can be. I mean, there's a lot of times where, hey, okay, yeah, we're gonna show up at 7 o'clock, but the guy that owns the building doesn't show up until 7:15. Okay, yeah, maybe you don't pull out all your gear and get it ready at that time.
Yeah,
Look at
use
what's
some
going on.
judgment maybe.
Use some judgment. But be as ready as you can be
Okay.
for the call time.
Okay.
Don't be pulling into the parking lot at call time.
Yes, that's not a good idea. Let's see. Okay, so you mentioned something earlier, so that I was going to ask you if it was true that there is a sound crew versus everybody else mentality on set. Is that true?
No,
No?
no. There's
Okay.
everybody else against the sound crew. I
So,
mean, seriously. I mean, as I said before, sound is the redheaded stepchild. We are the last ones thought of. We were the first ones pushed out of the way. And part of being a good sound guy is understanding that and rolling with the punches as best as you can, while at the same time putting your foot down when it needs to be put down, which is a fine line sometimes. Sometimes you screw up.
Ooh, okay. Who should you talk to on set if you have issues or you've got like questions or whatever?
Well, I mean, that's a big question. It depends what kind of set.
Right.
So,
So yeah, because there are different kinds of sets. You've got your larger productions, and you've got your
right,
tiny little 2-3
right.
band productions.
I mean, for the way it works for me, as a sound guy, if I'm working on, say, like a bigger reality show type of thing, usually the line producer will pair you up with a camera guy, and so
Okay.
you listen to that camera guy, and that whatever that camera guy says is go. He's your boss at that point.
Are you going
Um,
straight to camera for those? Or are you going straight to camera, or you're
no,
going to
no,
your
no,
recorder?
no, no. Usually on reality shows, I've usually got 6 or 8 mics running. And I mean, on some of the bigger shows, you'll have 2 or 3 mixers running around. We all have 6 or 8 mics running.
Okay.
And we're
What a
all,
nightmare. What a nightmare for the editor.
yeah,
But you guys have sound reports and that sort of thing to help out, right?
yeah. And usually, like I said, that on, big productions like that, they will pair up a sound guy with a camera guy. So we're also sending our feed. We'll do it like a dirty mix to that camera. So that way, when post gets it, they have something to work with there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's usually how reality shows work. The bigger ones, anyway. Smaller ones are usually it's like a 3-person crew. You've got a sound guy, a camera guy, and a producer.
Okay. So you talk to whoever you need to talk to.
Yeah, in those
Yes.
situations, you talk to whoever you have to talk to. It's usually pretty clear. On the bigger productions, you start with your line producer. Sound guy is we're below the line, so we work for the line producer in those type of situations.
Okay.
So a line producer is basically the boss of everybody under the line. And if you don't know what above the line, below the line means, have you talked about that? Did they know about this?
Kind of more. That's more of a workshop thing.
Yeah,
We're like, this is a microphone.
gotcha. Basically, we just need to know sound is below the line, meaning they can fire us if they want.
Yeah.
They can get another sound guy, in an hour if they need to. So at that point, we're talking to the line producer. He's our main boss.
Okay.
But then, at the same time, you're going to have an associate producer who's going to be over that guy who's directing content. They're going to tell you something to do. And then you're going to have the big producer's going to walk in. And then you're going to have the guy that's paying for everything going to walk in. So you listen to whoever's on the top of the chains next to you at that time.
That sounds like a smart advice right there.
Well, good advice is to know what that structure is. So when you get your call sheet and there's 35 names on it, look at it, read it, see who's going to be on set, who's on call, see who's boss of that guy, and who's boss of that guy. So if you've got an issue with this dude here, you can go talk to this guy or whatever, whatever needs to happen.
Okay. So good advice. Number 1, know the hierarchy of wherever you're going, so you know who to talk to, etc.
Right.
That's good. Be prepared. Be on time. Have a good attitude. Know your place. Basically, that sort of thing. What about working with talent? You got any advice for working with talent?
It depends on what type of talent.
Well, I know that talent encompasses is like anywhere from an announcer to a
Yeah.
Oscar-winning actress. I mean, I know. Talent is anybody you have to mic or you got to get their sound. So,
when you're dealing with, what I call talent, and non-talent talent. That makes any
okay,
sense. Okay.
sure,
When
I
I'm
guess.
talking talent, I'm talking like a professional actor, somebody who's used to having a sound guy walk up and have them shove their hand down their pants. For most most professional actors, if I walk up to them and they're ready to be mic'd up, they'll undo their pants. They're like, do whatever you gotta do, because they want the job to go quickly and easily and smoothly and as fast as possible, because the faster they can get on the set, the faster they can get done and get back to the, drink their drink, whatever.
How
uh,
often do you have to wire somebody for a, like, are we talking, you're not really talking narrative filmmaking, are you? Or are you talking, you're
in that
wiring?
situation, yeah.
You
um,
are?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
How
yeah,
often do you wire somebody in a narrative filmmaking situation?
all the time.
Really?
That's what everybody wants, everything all the time,
Why? Just out of curiosity.
because that's what they want.
So the producers require you to wire everybody.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
anybody booming or
as well as booming.
okay? So the
So
wire is for redundancy.
I wish.
You wish. No, the boom is for redundancy.
It's whatever happens in post is whatever happens in post.
Okay. You're like, it's not my problem.
It's not my problem.
I don't know where they use it, but
I'm going to give them what they ask for.
okay.
99% of the time. There are times when I'll say, no, that's stupid. But
You'll be like,
and,
no,
and
that's stupid.
and even if it is stupid, if they ask for it, fine, whatever, because you also have to think about the fact that I'm renting that gear. So if they want to put a wireless mic on every actor, that's fine. That's $50 each actor. I got to put a mic on, right?
Oh, that's right. We need to talk about that. We do need
Okay.
to talk about that. We need to talk about when somebody hires you to do a job and then where that comes from. But that's in our next conversation. Anyway, you were talking about miking and booming. So
Right. Yeah.
right. So they hire you and then they tell you they want everybody mic'd for redundancy or for whatever they want. And then also they want you to use a boom.
Right.
So you've got to know how to do both.
Yeah.
And you also need to be concerned about clothing noise and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Or just find out whether or not what that is being used for, right? I mean, I'm just trying to like little pearls of wisdom to the students,
Yeah. I
because
mean,
I can't prepare them for everything that's going to
but
happen.
yeah, it's hard to be prepared as a sound guy. I mean, especially, I mean, I've worked on some bigger name, but stuff. Most of the stuff I've worked on is independent, low budget stuff. They don't care about sound. I mean, that's bottom line. They don't. They
Mhm.
do not care about sound. So it's a fight 9 times out of 10. So, if they ask for it, fine. You want a mic on every single person? That's fine. That's 8 people. That's $50 each person each day. Can you afford it? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no. So,
They're like, just boom them. One boom.
well,
It's fine.
if they have the budget for that, fine, great.
Okay. Okay. So when somebody says we've got this many people, we want every one of them boomed, every one of them mic'd, lav, wired, whatever terminology we're going to use here, and you don't actually have all that stuff lying around your office, what do?
Rent it.
Okay. You rent it and you include that rental into your deal memo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's just something else we were going to talk about, deal memos. Let's talk about that, I guess. Let's just jump into
Good.
that. Deal memos. So what is a deal memo?
Well, I mean, a deal memo, a contract, you need something in writing that says that what you're going to do and how much they're going to pay you for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. That's all a deal memo is. You provide audio for 12 days at X amount for so many days and provide this amount of gear for this amount.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's basically a promise. Hey, we're going to pay you this and you're going to provide this.
Okay. So you have your personal time rate, basically your day rate, right?
Yes.
Or half day rate, half day rate. And you also have your equipment rental rate,
Yes.
correct? Okay. So those are two separate things.
Yes.
If it's just you have like so for 2 days, I'm going to charge you this much for my time. And then I'm also going to charge you this much for the kit that I own. Just the basic kit that I own. If I got to get any more, then I look up the prices and I put that in the deal memo. It's like, okay, you want 5 wireless sets. That's just how much it's going to cost you, because this is how much it's going to cost me. Do you mark it up? I mean, how does that work?
It depends.
I mean, it's more of a John Hanson question
Yeah,
really, when
it
it comes to
depends.
producing and budgeting and all that good stuff. But it is a business and you are a freelancer. So,
If I'm having to do all the work and go rent it and pick it up and do all of that, yes. You know,
mhm,
if they're charging me $50 to rent it, I'm going to charge the client 65,
okay.
because you know, per day. So that's an extra. That's $15 for my time to go pick it up and deal with the paperwork and put my credit card down. You know, all that stuff,
Okay.
because that takes time. It's your time is money. You're taking a risk by renting that gear. You know, if it gets destroyed on set, it's you. It's not production. You know, you rented it. Yes, production rented it from you, and they should pay you back. But what if they don't? You're still on the line.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Now,
Okay.
but I have other clients who, you know, they have a big account with VER, and so, oh well, yeah, well, just tell us what we need. Call up this guy, and he'll send it out. And I never touch it. You know, they pay for it. I just call the guy up, tell him what I want, and it shows up on set. So,
Okay.
you know, whatever,
Okay.
that works for me. But usually in situations like that, if I'm having to rent something out from someone else, I will do a setup day because I have to integrate their gear with my gear.
Mhm.
And so I'll usually charge like probably usually a half day rate to integrate that gear. So I'm still making money on top of that rental, but in a different way. Because
Yeah, because
I
it's your
still have to,
time,
yeah, it's my
right?
time. I
Yeah.
still have to put in work to marry the systems together.
Okay. See, I think that's one thing that a lot of students don't understand is they feel like if in order to work, they have to own all the equipment that they would be using to work. And of course, it helps because it's like when they start paying for that, that's your money because you own the equipment. But I also feel like students underbid their services. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
Everybody does. Until you get into the business, you're gonna be like, yeah, okay, I can do that for 300. Because you're thinking, yeah, $300 for a day, yeah, right. But guess what? I make 650 a day.
oh
Okay,
yeah, that's right.
that's
And that's just your day rate, right?
that's
That's
just
your
my labor
time.
rate.
That's
That's
not for your equipment.
exactly. That's just me. So, and that's for a 10-hour day with lunch included. Okay, so
And you'll feed me. You will feed me.
you will feed me as well. If we go over 10 hours, guess what? You're feeding me twice.
Oh wow.
So
Okay. Do you belong to a union? Just
I,
asking.
I do not belong to a union.
Okay. Okay. What else? Billing. Billing.
Billing.
Sure.
Learn how to make an invoice.
Yeah,
Um,
there's templates out there, right? You use a
um,
template.
yeah, learn how to make an invoice. Learn how to make it look professional. Even if it's just an Excel spreadsheet that you use, whatever.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I've seen people just send me an email. Oh, you owe me. Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm gonna pay an email say you owe me $400. No, I don't. Send me a
Send me
document, right?
time, stuff, itemized. It's a bill. Okay.
Um,
Do you have trouble getting paid sometimes?
no, no, I
No.
really don't. I've had a few issues in the past, but not many. I know somebody that is a lawyer and can speak lawyerese for me if need be, which
Hmm.
has come in handy a couple of times. But I mean, we're talking a couple of times over 20 years of doing stuff.
Okay.
It's really not a problem. You just be aware of who you're working for. That goes. I was going to say this when I was talking about look at your call sheet and look at the names on there. Um, look them up. Look them up on IMDb. Look them up on the internet. Look them up on Facebook. See who these people are. Um,
Yeah. Well, it
because
is a small world, right? So
it's a
if
very small
it's
world,
not
and
just you doing a good job, it's them doing a good job paying
right,
you for it.
right.
Yeah.
So make sure who you're working for is somebody that's worthwhile, and also research these people. You never know who you may be working with. You may be working next to the guy who was on the last Spider-Man movie. You're like, oh my god! Seriously, I mean,
That's
you never
true.
know. You never
That's
know.
true. And there's always 6 degrees of separation, right?
Yeah, I'm only 2 degrees away, so
From Kevin Bacon.
I worked with a producer who shot a documentary with Kevin Bacon and his band.
Wow. And now I know you. So that's
Yeah,
another.
so you're three. You're three
And
away.
all of you guys know. We had an interview with a guy who knows somebody who knows Kevin Bacon. Proves it right there. Okay. So I mean, as far as questions and stuff like that go, basically that's uh the hard question. I guess they weren't really hard, but you know what I mean, the concrete questions or whatever. But um students starting out with video production, audio production, we are focused mainly on audio right now because it is for the audio class. But any advice? Any, because you've done this, you've been to school, you've worked in it, all that good stuff. So what kind of advice would you have for our students going forward?
At this point in the day, I don't know. You know, I haven't worked in almost 2 months. I don't know when I'm going to work again. I don't know what the state of our industry is in. It's hard to give advice right now, to tell you the truth.
And that's a perfectly acceptable answer because you're right. And no amount of it'll be fine is going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not going to be fine.
Mm-mm.
I already know one person who has put their sound kit up for sale because they're not going to make it.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's, and I'm, depending on how fast we get back, I may not make it. I'm scared. I really am, because our industry has completely changed. It's going to be completely different in 6 months or 8 months or a year, whenever it gets going again. The advice right now is to watch and wait and see what happens.
Stay in school.
Maybe.
It's what I did during the 2008 recession, and that this makes that look like a child's play.
There may
So
be a huge chunk of us that all need new professions.
mm.
I mean, unfortunately, that's.
Stay in school, students. Don't don't get discouraged.
Don't be like me and drop out 5 times. You'll get nowhere.
I'll see you in the fall. You'll be like, I'm not busy right now. I may as well try to finish this damn thing.
What's funny is I was actually going to take a class this spring, but then this TV show was supposed to happen. So I'm like, I can't be working 5 days a week, 12 hours a day, and take a class at the same time. So I didn't take anything. And now I'm like, well, crap. I could have gotten that English credit out of the way that I needed.
You totally could have. Yeah. I mean, and it's all online too. So it's not like you'd have to go anywhere. You just do what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so, aside from working, everything, you've been good? Everything been okay?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
I've left my apartment like 3 times in 2 months.
Dang. Just getting everything delivered?
No.
No?
I've
Just bought
been
everything at once?
shopping twice.
Huh?
I've been grocery shopping twice.
Oh, wow.
And then I got out last night and drove my car around and washed it because it was just filthy. It was covered in pollen and bird crap. And it hadn't been driven, so it was like it didn't want to start. The battery was almost dead.
Oh, wow. That's terrible.
It hasn't been driven.
Oh, wait. Myrna had another question. Hold on. Any funny anecdote while working in a production? I'm sure you have plenty. Your favorite?
All kinds of funny stories.
Thanks, Myrna. Keep them coming. Come on, just give us one, Chad.
You asked me something like that, and I'm not going to come up with something.
So you're not? You're just no. Sorry, you don't get any of my stories.
I don't know. No, I'm not good with funny stories on set. I'm good about angry stories.
Okay, tell us an angry story.
I'm not going to do that.
Well, you're laughing, so apparently it's funny. You don't have to tell us who or whatever.
No, because I laugh at myself because I do some stupid shit sometimes.
All right. Tell us about that.
Um, yeah, I got kicked off a show once for throwing a bottle of water at the director.
Uh, okay.
So,
Do
all right. So,
tell. Why
uh,
don't you tell us what preceded the event
yeah,
prior to you
it's a
throwing?
long, it's kind of a long story. This director sucked, like really bad. It was to the point like I'm standing there booming these actors, and like the director's like, all right, action, right? One, he didn't call roll, he didn't say speed, he didn't tell the actors what to say. So I'm standing there booming them, and the actors are like, what are we supposed to be doing? Or what are we talking about? This is like a real shit show, isn't it? Like this is what I'm recording while we're shooting. So this had been going on for weeks. Okay, this is like a real production too. So um, I think we did 8 episodes of this TV show. But the director was so bad. Literally, the actors are like in the middle of a take, going like, "What are we supposed to do?" Like saying this like to each other, like, "What are we supposed to do?" Like what? Are we supposed to be talking? So that tells you how good this director is. Um, and yeah, I just blew up on him one day. It was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Um, he would never call to roll. It was always like, all right, action, and like the camera guy and I would like look at each other like, are you rolling?
Are
Like,
you rolling? No.
so I mean,
Everybody hits the record button.
I flipped out on him one day,
Quick.
and this wasn't. It's not like I just out of nowhere flipped out on him. I was like, hey, dude, you need to tell us, like, you can't just call action, right? I've been doing this for weeks. You can't just do that. And there's all kinds of other craziness going on around because this guy is completely incompetent at his job. So, I mean, stuff is just falling apart everywhere. And the only people that are keeping things going are like me and the DP. Because like we're the only ones that are actually doing anything. We're the ones actually directing the actors.
Mm.
So yeah, he did one of these things like, and I like, he did the whole fucking scene. And I was like, hey, did you want me to roll on that? And he flips out on me. I'm like, you didn't tell me to roll, dude. Well, and I ended up throwing shit at him, and they kicked me off the show.
Okay. How, did you ever work for him again? Does he still make films? Just you don't have to tell us who it is, but
Yeah, he's still working somehow, some way.
mm.
I mean, I had worked with this guy for like 2 years on various different productions, and it's just there was one time I got into an argument with him over putting a wireless mic pack on an actress. Okay, so it was a real physical scene. She was getting yanked out of a car and getting thrown around, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna put a chunk of metal on her and have her thrown around, thrown against the car and onto the ground. She's gonna get injured. And no, this was just 2 days after she went to the hospital because she had been injured because of his incompetence. She'd already been injured once in this production.
Mm.
We got into a huge argument in the middle of the street at like 2:00 in the morning because I wouldn't put a wireless mic on her because I was afraid she was going to, break her hip or something if she fell on it. It's like, do you not, you want a chunk of metal shoved up your ass, buddy, when you fall on the ground? Because that's what's going to happen. So that's when I was saying, sometimes you have to stand your ground because if something's not safe, if something's just not right, you have to stand your ground. And, I lost my job over standing my ground too many times against that guy, which is fine because I wasn't going to be a part of, one, a shitty production, two, injuring people. It's just like, yeah, weird.
Well, talking about safety, you brought that up. Being safe actually falls under the category of how to behave as a location sound mixer. So what are some tips on being safe on set or on location?
Don't run with scissors.
Don't run with scissors. That's a good one.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you can always say always be safe, blah 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 blah. But sometimes you just got to do some stuff. I've done stuff that I look back on it, I'm like, that was really dumb. Um,
What's your dumbest one? Can you think?
yeah, I was hanging off the side of a van driving down the highway, or not the highway, but down the street, and I'm booming off the side of a van.
Who are you booming?
Uh, the actor that was on the bicycle behind the van.
Oh, so there's a
So,
bicycle behind the
so it's a
van.
kid on a bicycle riding, right? And so it's a or a leading shot. So
Hmm.
cameras here and blah blah blah. And so there was no room for me in the van with the camera and all the gack. So I'm on the side, hanging on with my boom. I wouldn't suggest doing that. But it's you have.
Did you get the audio?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So so you have to make judgment calls sometimes, but at the same time, I've been injured on set as well. Like I seriously messed up my ankle. Did a bunch of soft tissue damage jumping off of a slide on set once. So
Was it required that you jump off the slide, or you just jumped off because you wanted to get down quickly? And
well, I was actually helping out. We had it was a movie I'd worked on, and we had to go do some pickup shots. And so they needed to get some reaction shots of the two lead characters looking at a bunch of craziness going on a playground. And so it was just, skeleton crew. We were just doing some pickup shots, and we couldn't get them. They kept looking like opposite ways. It's like, no, no, no. So I was like, all right, well, because the sound didn't matter. There was going to be music and craziness going on the playground. This is just reaction shots. I'm like, I'll run around the playground to give them something to follow, so they actually have something to react to.
hmm.
Yeah, I gave them something to react to. So it was, a playground, and it's all sand, right? You're supposed to be able to jump off the big toy into the sand. Should be fine.
Yeah, if you're 3.
Well, I found a chunk of concrete that was about this big that I landed on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
All
just a
right.
freak accident, but
Okay.
not
Myrna,
good.
was that good enough for you? I don't see her typing anything. But anyway. Okay. Well, all right then. So we've been having a interesting time doing audio production online. Um,
But
we did get 8 weeks in on campus, so they at least had they were shown how to use all the equipment, the mixers, um, all the different microphones, etc., the different recorders that we have on campus. Um, this is definitely stretch. I now know how to use an iPhone as a microphone on my Apple. It sounds actually really good. I'm not using it for this, but yeah, but I mean, they were already into where I could give them sound files and video files that they could sync and edit, and
right,
now they're doing mixing and that sort of thing. So that's okay. Um, but we had to cancel the summer audio class for the reason because we don't have access to the equipment.
right.
So anyway, okay. I really, really appreciate you doing this for me. This just kind of ties nicely into the final 2 chapters of their book. And I appreciate talking to a real live location sound mixer. Um,
At least I used to be.
huh?
At least I used to be.
He used to be. I
Two
used to
months ago, I
be.
was.
Oh, come on. I know that audio is in big demand, that people are always needing audio mixers. Yes, once the productions start kicking back in, I'm sure you'll be back to work, as you'll be just as busy as you were before.
I don't know. I
Got my fingers crossed.
Us sound guys can be the last ones hired back.
Really? Why do you think that?
Yeah. It's a law of mics. They don't want people up in your face. So,
So
and
we just be
that's
booing. That's social
right. And,
distancing almost, right? You're
well,
not
and so
supposed to be booing.
and quite honestly, it's, these one-man producer guys, they're like, well, why do I need a sound guy? I got a boom.
Mm.
So that's what's going to happen in my world is all these guys, and plus the client is going to want as few people there as possible. And it's already happening. Like my independent producer buddies, they're always like, yeah, man, I've already been getting calls, but they want just me. They want me to come out and gaff it and DP it and audio and direct it. They want me to do it all.
Yikes. Well, I
So
guess that means everybody's gonna have to learn how to do everything.
for the one-man bands out there in the world, it's going to be a good time for a while. So.
Okay. All right. Well, on that depressing note, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't want to be like Miss Pollyanna or whatever, but I do. I mean, people have video production is not going to go anywhere. We've got to have videos, but the quality of the videos is what I'm concerned about.
Yeah. There's going to be, I mean, no matter what, there's going to be a massive change, and exactly how that, plays out is going to be interesting. At this point, I would be suggesting for people to learn those little robotic cameras and figure out how to work 4 and 5 of them at a time, because I think that's what the future is going to be. It's going to be one guy sitting in a room somewhere else. I mean, and that's already happening. If I watch BBC News, and that's what they do. They've got these robotic cameras. There's no cameramen in the studio. They're in a room somewhere else, you know? And
so for studio production, I can see what you mean with all the robotics where you've got, they've been doing that in Irving for years, where because as an intern there, they used to have all the interns stand up and use do the cameras during the council meetings and everything, and then they stopped doing that. They had one guy in the closet, and the only reason why you were there as an intern was to allow him to go to the bathroom. If you needed to switch a camera or whatever. So yeah. So I get that, but you're always, it's like I was told all my students when they come in, it's an introductory audio production class, but if you don't learn anything else in this class, just learn the importance of audio, the importance of sound, and that it is a necessary component of your product, and budget for it, all of those good things. But yeah, I feel like more people are going to need to know how to do camera and audio, and which I'm fine with, because I'm a generalist anyway. I like knowing all the different pieces of the puzzle. That's how I'm able to teach. But I think everybody should know what the pieces are of the puzzle, so that they know where they fit in it.
Oh yeah, I mean, just knowledge of if you know every part of it, it's easier to make one part of it work better. I'm not a camera guy, but I own cameras, and I know cameras, and I know when the camera guy puts on an 80 millimeter lens, that I've got a little more headroom, that I can move that boom down.
Right.
I know that, and so it's because I know cameras, because I know what a focal length is. And it helps, going back to talking about these independent producers, little one-man band guys that I work with. Well, another reason they hire me is because I do know everything. I can go set up a light if I have to. I can tell them, hey man, the color temperature is wrong. What do we do? I can, I know enough that, I can do it all really if I wanted to, but I don't want to. So I can help these guys out, when on these 2 and 3 man crews, because I can do their jobs as well. So.
Which is something else that has been mentioned on several of the gurus that I've used for content for the classes. I've always touched on, don't just show up and set up your stuff and think, I'm just the audio person, I'm just gonna be a team player, know some of this other stuff, or at least again know your place in that production, so that you could offer a hand if necessary.
And there's I worked with a lot of camera guys and whatnot. They hate what they call the white glove guys, the white glove sound guys. So you're like, oh well, here's my sound mixer and here's my microphone, and I'm going to sit here in the corner while you guys do your work. They hate that. Now granted, there are some DPs who are like, yeah, don't touch my shit, go sit in your corner, and do your thing. But and the people I work with, because they hire me because I do what I do, they like somebody who can set up a light or set up a flag or do different things. They like that because it makes their job easier. But then you have those control freaks who are like, yeah, go sit in your corner. So
forget what those books said. Go sit in the corner. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. Don't get anywhere near my equipment. All right. Well, I'm glad you have something to do tomorrow. And it's been great talking to you. Great seeing you again. Really appreciate you talking to us. And I'm going to post this tomorrow for my students, so all the other students besides Myrna, who, by the way, said thank you, and she complimented us on our interesting conversation. So, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Myrna. Anyway, so that's all I got for you guys. I will actually we'll have to tack on a bit of a video onto this one so that you guys know what you're supposed to be doing next week. That's it. All right. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Myrna. I'm going to say bye to Myrna. Let's see, hang on. Remove. Okay. Bye, Myrna. Okay, now that she's gone, I can stop recording now.